McKay's wallpaper shop was the one at the bottom of the steps. It's still there. At the joiners and that now. But it used to be a wallpaper shop anyway. And everybody had wallpaper then. And further up the lane was old Joe Beck. And he had a all the way closed-in dark shop with wooden trays on the side of the counter with loaves in. And they sold ordinary things, but it was a confectioner. She was a confectioner, a good one and all. And people liked what she baked. It got bombed. And obliterated, and we all went to have a look. Joe Beck's shop. I remember seeing everything, chaos in that area. Absolute chaos. And the old fella was killed, wasn't he? Somebody else was killed and all then, I remember.
The signalman on beside Maryport railway station, he heard the bomber coming, because the German bombers did woo, 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 woo. And my Uncle Fred, I remember my Uncle Fred, he saw it heading up towards Allenby as well. And then about 5 minutes later, back it came. Now, he actually saw that bomber as well, so it must have been moonlight that night. I'm sure it was. It can't have been all that high, because me and my grandma were leaning out the back room window, and it was just after they come back down past where we lived, that the first and second, third and fourth bombs were dropped. There's one in Bertie Rook's garden, there's one in front of Eric Martin's, I think, 2 on the school, and then maybe there'll be 2 or 3 on Well Lane. You know where the lifeboat pub is? There's a gap. That was a bomb. Hit that and just blew it straight out. And behind that's Well Lane. And there was one further up on I think it was Dr. Creary. I think it was just above his house that was bombed. That's where the people were killed in there. You'd think it would be indiscriminate bombing, but it's the way the bombs left the plane, every few seconds.
I remember I lived in Curzon Street then, getting under the stairs, listening to the aircraft, and the German aircraft had a particular sound, hoo, 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 and it used to stick in your mind. Aye.
Do you remember being under the stairs and hearing the bombs?
Oh yes, aye. Yeah. Certain definite blast. And when they said that, that the top of Highstreet had been bombed, I thought that terrible.
Oh yeah, we heard them, but we didn't know where they were. And that's where it was. We didn't realise it was as close as that. But other houses round about got the windows broke anyway, so.
They must have jettisoned the bombs coming back from the Clyde where they've been chased, and they thought, going across, just get shot at them.
Where we lived in Bank Lane, it just, with the plane could just come over above us, and it bombed Shipping Brow. I was standing with my dad was home on leave from the army, and my brother was standing at the window with my mum and dad. Well, I heard it, and then the plane just come over, and my dad went out to see if he could help, but he was sent back here. It was all cordoned off, so that's all I remember about it, like. Again, then the school was bombed. Well, our house was right below the school. We were very lucky in where we lived at that time.
And I think my grandma lost somebody in Well Lane. I can always remember saying something about that. I thought there was about 8 or 9 people killed.
And we all run up there the next morning to see what was going on. And the police was there keeping everybody away. And you could look up the alleyway and see where the shop, I'd been there the evening before buying candles. And the next morning, for God's sake, there was just a big gap. And all the walls had gone into this house, and there was a bath hanging by its pipes right outside onto nothing, just hanging. And curtains was all lying everywhere, all, you know, just lying about, one here and another somewhere else, and glass everywhere, and bits of wood everywhere, and
He definitely could see what he was bombing. And I think he thought the school was a army barracks or something, because it would be shaped like that, with a yard in the middle. There's a yard at one side and a yard in the middle. I just lived up, well, 80 yards up from the school, 100 yards maybe. And it was really badly bombed.
1929, 1939, I'll be 10 or 11. I'll be the junior school. The junior school was next to the British school. It was part of the school complex. Yeah, it was wiped out. I remember, you know, the following day, a couple of days, going ratching up there looking for shrapnel. Found some.
I remember it. We went up on to where the school was, where you're getting books and pencils. That was all laying about. We all had books and pencils for yonks.
registers with names on, and always squares on the papers, and that was great. We were all loaded with them. Something to write on, eh?
As you come out of Well Lane, Robson's shop was on the corner, eh?
Yeah.
So, but actually it was Benson's before that time, yeah.
So what did they do?
Well, groceries, and it was a bakery. They sold bread and, you know, homemade stuff.
The grocery shop.
Yeah.
Mabel Benson ran Benson's the grocer's. She was a great friend with my auntie. Yeah, would you believe that? They had a handcart, two big wheels,
Yeah.
and a square box, and they sold cakes and things out of it. And it was a handcart, and you opened the two doors, and you pulled the wooden drawers out, like bread racks out, and people looked in, and they picked their bread or their cakes. Benson's, yeah. Now that was the first mobile shop when you think about that, eh?
But he supplied most of the boats that come into Maryport, and there was a lot used to come in then. He supplied them in their food. Mainly coal boats, Isle of Man boats and Irish, and there was Dutch used to come in. During the war, a lot of Dutch boats, Dutchmen, skippers, they fled and they came to this country, and then they went into the coal business, taking coal wherever it needed. Some of them coal boats used to come into Maryport. They were only maybe, they were light, maybe 6 feet of water. It was scraping up, but they get in that first under the hurry, loaded, back out the same tide.
The coal hurry used to be on the side of the dock. You used to shoot the coal into the hold of the ships.
And the Isle of Man boats were all called Ben something. Ben is Ben.
Yeah, you had the Ben Air, the Ben Nevis. Aye. Because I used to work in the harbour office. That would be during the war, eh? Yes. We used to have details of the ships coming and going from Maryport, and then we used to send the details to Liverpool. There was one. He used to run coal to Belfast, and I got on well with the captain. And it was when you couldn't buy sweets here, but you could. And I asked the captain to bring me some when he next visited Maryport. He did. Aye.
And just above that, then as well, there was
Knutsford, Miss Knutsford. Two Miss Knutsfords, two sisters. I know they sold sweets. I know that.
Sure, I used to go there for my granddad's for snuff and backer sometimes, so the pipe backer, eh?
Then there was a Rafferty's, definitely. I know Rafferty's, because they always said he was communist. Poor old Johnny walked with a limp.
Well, my wife's mother told me he was in Maryport, Down Street, in the early 30s. She said he'd arrived from Glasgow. Used to pay in the Maryport with a little dog, which used to perform in front of him.
And it used to be like our dog, because my dog will sit and wave at people and that kind of thing forever. And this little dog used to do that. And he used to stand on the corner and... Did he have a melodeon? He used to stand on the other old corner, or bottom of Backbrow and Shippenbrow. And the little dog wouldn't perform once, and he broke his leg. And everybody was against him for that for a long time. He broke his leg because he wouldn't perform. The next thing you know is, he's got this big corner cafe, a man who came with a dog and a limp.
He went in Highstreet end. It was a shop, and went down there you could maybe, there was a few tables for a cup of tea if you wanted here. I just used to go in for sweets during war. And on the other side, down, you went down, fellas used to go and play cards there.
You know, and everybody went in, if they couldn't afford a cup of tea, they did a cup of tea. Doesn't matter if they couldn't afford it, they did a cup of tea. I remember my grandmother saying one day, "It's my birthday today, Johnny." And what she meant to say was, I've got somebody in the shops that isn't normally there. You know, it's my birthday today, what have I just got? And he said, "Oh, hang on, Nelly," and he gave it half a crown. And she couldn't believe it. But he was like that.
He was a good employer. I mean, I never heard anybody say out against him. Lots of people used to go in there. And not because they were communists, but he definitely was, because when you went down these steps on the shelf, there was communist material in full view.
But it's a strange thing that they was all seemed to suddenly get wealthy. Yeah. He didn't come wealthy, he come as a bloody beggar. I mean, everybody knew that. And then, bit by bit, big shop, big cafe, big house, you know.
Doesn't add up, does it?
So it must have been, it must have had a bit more to do with the old communists than we know, that they set him up like that.
They tell me when he died, there was a gravy wreath arrived from London with a number 6 on it. Well, was he number 6 in this country? Or was he number 6 in Scotland? I inquired about it once with a fellow called Mr. Paxton. And he says, "You don't want to know about them things."
Somebody paid him somewhere along the line, but what was he doing for it? What was he doing for it?
And then there was Dig Gate, next to the town hall. Yeah, I used to get my pants made in there. And then further up, my grandmother took me in a place called the Coffee Tavern, which later became the Labour Club. But it was the Coffee Tavern. Now, I must have been only about 5 years old when she took me in there. It was a big cafe. And the women had white and black uniforms on.
I remember it being used as school kids for lunchtime. Yeah. You've got to remember the British school was bombed, and they had to find somewhere to accommodate the kids at mealtime.
We used to walk down from the school. We used to go in there for our dinners, 2 by 2, with 2 teachers keeping us in charge. That's where we used to go for our dinners.
There was Porter's sweet shop, Bell's fruit shop, and then your chemist.
And whose is the chemist?
Alf Briggs. Yeah, he was. I can remember saying it. He was tall. He wore glasses, didn't he?
Yeah.
Black hair. Very slim.
Exceptionally thin, and +4s, same as Herbert, with the big stockings up to his knees and the buckles on the side that tightens. Oh dear. He was another intelligent man. They must have got it all from university ideas, eh?
Then there was a furniture shop what they sold prams and such as that, as well as the furniture. And then to your right there's a road goes off. Cueto's fish shop, that's where Cueto's fish shop was. That used to be the first run for everybody that got out of the cinema. He used to run there.
That was the lead up to Furnace Lane.
Yeah.
Mrs. Cueto.
Oh, yes, everybody went in Cueto's, yeah. Oh, Mother Cueto, what was her name? Old Emily Cueto.
Sometimes if we got older, when we went to Paris to dance, art pictures, and caught just fish and chips and patties there.
I used to go in and shout, "Can I have a patty in a pan full?" No, lads, if you carry on like that, you're out.
Mother Cueto. Yeah, she just sat, literally just made patties.
Potato, the big ones, and two, and your filling and your batter. They were lovely. As I said, one and you were full.
Oh, God, aye. They made the best patties. The mother sat beside the window, giving orders, and made all the patties.
When you went in the door, she was there, behind the counter. Hello, boys. Patty and chips, eh? Patty, yeah, Mrs. Cueto, yeah, okay. Lovely woman.
There were Spaniards and Italians. Cueto's, Anavatis, Ognis. They all came out at the same time, didn't they? Did they get away because of the war, I wonder?
There was two daughters worked in there, and Philip.
They were always arguing, the two sisters were always arguing.
They all used to work together in the shop, didn't they?
Oh,
and
aye.
Mark Cueto used to put them all right.
That's
there was
right.
more arguments.
Aye.
She said, Philip, get these boys out, patties and chips gone. Never mind them, get them. Come on, Philip.
Yeah, oh, yes. You what she said. You did. You know, there was no messing about. I'm not doing that. I've done it. And no, you did it. She was always carrying on with them.
Chippy not yet ready yet, patty in the pan. Come you bucket later, paper if you can. Yeah. Chippy not yet ready yet, patty in the pan. 'Cause she's bad English, yeah. Come back here later, paper if you can. In other words, things isn't ready, but come back with a bit of newspaper to wrap your chips in.
Mother Cueto.
Aye. Patty and chips, eh? Patty said, yeah, Mrs. Cueto, yeah, okay.
And then there was a chemist there, McVitie's chemist.
Yes, there was chemist. I remember the chemist.
No, all I remember about McVitie's chemist is there was a lot of mirrors in there. That's all I can remember. There's a wall full of mirrors. That's all I remember about McVitie's chemist.
I used to be McVitie's when I was a kid anyway.
Oh, they had some lovely carnivals around here. Just used to stand out there. Occasionally we went up into Market Square, but there was really no need because they used to come, when they first started, they used to come all the way past here and back to town again. Little surrounding Fothergill, they would come. Fothergill and Flimby always Flimby would come, put their floats in.
Maryport, I would think, had some of the best carnivals ever in this country. And my earliest recollection is coming up Shippinborough, and in front of me, Margaret Poland's father's brother, old Joe Poland, with his sons, and they were a chain gang. People used to, for months, they were making parts for the carnival and stacking them away. And then the night before the carnival, they'd all get together in a school or some place and put it all together. Next day, there they were. up towards Maryport Market Square, which was free then. You could be wide open spot.
And then coming down a bit further, Dixon's Jewellers.
Yes.
Dixon's have been there forever, haven't they?
Oh, aye. Yes, aye.
And then a butcher's.
Aye. Jewists. It was next door to Cavendish hardware stores, who I used to run messages for when I was still at school. It was delivering stuff that had been purchased, and, you know, you've got to remember, my father was away then, in the forces, and I was trying to be the breadwinner for the house, you know. It was well stocked, yeah. I had 2 girls behind the counter, so it was well used.
You came from there, and then there was a hat shop.
Nixon's as
That was it, yeah, Mrs. Nixon.
Mrs. Nixon.
My grandmother used to go there for her hats. And my grandmother must have known her because my grandmother was a dressmaker. I know she used to go there into the shop.
And it smelt like all of them did. It smelt old-fashioned and mansion polish as well. Mansion polish and old-fashioned.
Do you remember what the window display looked like?
Oh, oldie fash. It wasn't modern at all.
Yes, she'd had some nice hats, I bet.
Now that fit me, lass.
And the window was full of old-fashioned close hats, tight hats and that kind of thing. And so old-fashioned. She liked the brides coming in for their hats and the mother of the bride, of course, had to have a new hat. They all went to Miss Nixon. And if they knew there was going to be a wedding coming up, they would go in and leave 6 a week. And she'd say, how many hats? And they'd say 3. You know, and she'd make a note in a book that 3 hats coming on the 12th of August, sort of idea, you know.
I was only in it once, I think.
Did you try a hat on?
Yeah, when I was getting married, but I didn't get it there.
Oh, she was never married. She wasn't a married woman. Very slender, quite tall, quite serious.
Spins it on her own, yeah. She was obliging, wasn't she? That's what it was, she was obliging. She was reliable. She sort of looked after what you wanted. And she would get it for you, kind of thing. If you wanted straw and pink straw, you got pink straw.
And she was haughty, mind. She was very haughty. You said to do what she told you, and if you wanted to tie a hat on, she put it on her.
Talk was in the town that you used to have to put a bit of tissue paper on your head before she'd allow you to try the hats on. And bear in mind, going up Senhouse Street, between most of the shops would be one door where getting up to the flats or the apartments upstairs. The business people in the town, most of them were local people. I think a lot of them would live above the shops. And her house was probably upstairs. Her flat was probably upstairs. Because that would be her own shop. And that makes common sense, doesn't it?
And then there was Anavatsi's ice cream.
Anavatsi's, where everybody went to Anavatsi's for a hot chocolate, a hot Vimto, 6 if you're lucky, and Henrietta behind the counter.
We used to go in there frequently, either there or Ogni's, we used if we went in a cafe. It was nice. They were Italians, I think, yeah.
It was broken English. But yeah, I never heard them speaking Italian.
I only ever used to go in there for ice cream, but they were all nice people. Really nice.
And then Skelton's, anybody that had a little bit of money that lived in Maryport, that's the shop that they would go in, Skelton's. Really classic clothes.
And then it was bottom biases, I think, after that. And then Englishes. I never went in a cafe as such. Well, it was very popular, but I mean, I was more of a Ogne's fan.
Well, you go and have a coffee or tea, or you could buy something at the counter and walk out. But they're well known in Maryport. Was Bessie, the two sisters. Was her husband not in the war? Was he not a rear gunner? I can remember talking to him once or twice, but I can't remember much about him.
Betty and Kath. I believe in later years they used to do funeral teas and not there. But that's for the posher people, because we did our own funeral teas in the yard. You know, somewhere like that.
They did wedding banquets and, you know, catered for them. Christmas, they made special Christmas dinners, and if you booked.
My dad, well, he was a pigeon man and he used to run the pigeon club. But he always spoke Cath English for the party, Christmas party. Oh, he always spoke Cath, my dad.
Then the Co-op owned all that right round, and they had a clogger shop, which when you went round to go up the what we called the cut, out the Furnace Road, they had definitely in there. Yeah, they were a big concern.
The cooperative, yes. Well, I was about 20 when I went there. I liked the Co-op, and I was worked in the Co-op Central. Now it was a big store. Starting from the corner, there was electrical, and that was quite a big shop. Then there was the butchers. Then there was the central confectionery, cakes, bread, and there was big weighing scales and the big slicing machine for the bacon. The front counter, the big long counter, was where people stood for the groceries and tin stuff and all such as that. And that was the counter also that all the packing up was done. Sugar, rice, lentils, peas, split peas, raisins, sultanas. And we packed stuff up in blue, deep blue paper bags. We used to go through the butchers into the bakery, which was at the back, get the big trays of tea cakes and bring them back up into the Co-op itself. It was a big counter for bread. And then the wagons used to pull in for the warehouse. There was a big archway. And then it was another big shop, the ladies' department, as big if not bigger than the Central Co-op. And then there was the men's department. The door in between the warehouse and the Central Co-op was a double doorway. You went upstairs. To your left was the big canteen. Facing you was a big furniture. Turned right again, and there was 2 or 3 offices. They were facing on the main road, the offices. But you went into the office up there for when the divvy was due.
Every time you spent some money in cooperative, you got a stamp on your sheet, and they put on with the number on with how much it was.
You stick your ticket on a sticky sheet and then counted it all up, and then you got your divvy at the end of every quarter or something like that.
You take it up these stairs, and they tell them, and they'd give you maybe £2-3.
The people queuing down those steps and along past the Central Co-op, waiting to go upstairs for the divvy.
Everybody'd reckoned they'd run up and did it anyway, and they'd a damn good idea. Enough to argue. Because there's somebody who'll have a bit of brain that say, would you work it out? I think it's this.
That was twice a year. They used to get that. Christmas was one of the times. But the Co-op was a big thing in Maryport then.
So that's how it worked. The shop there for the divvy, that's what the shop for, the divvy.
People hadn't a lot of money, and that meant a lot to them.